Welcome to Small Business, Big Network, the podcast for small business owners who want big results from their networking. I'm Liz Drury, a freelance voiceover artist who knows that if you're not working, then networking could help. Tash Rebuck is the founder of the Good Sales Company. She says that in these days of AI, networking is a great way to build human connections. Just make sure you don't get pitch slapped. Thank you very much for being my guest on the podcast today, Tash.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Liz. I'm very excited.
So let's have a little dig into your background first, Tash. I know you work in sales now, but I think your degree was in performing arts, is that right?
Yes, it's. I grew up absolutely desperate to be an actor. I thought I was destined for the stage, which I know some of the other people you spoke to have had similar experience, and obviously your background as well. So you understand the desire and the drive. And so I did study theatre and performance, and I really enjoyed it. And I gave acting a bit of a go, but after I left uni, I sort of had a moment where I realised, right, I could very slowly get, potentially a bit of a salary in this world, but I'm probably not moving out of my parents' house for an incredibly long time. So, could I do something different? And that was sort of the end. That thought process was sort of the end of my acting career.
So did you immediately go into sales after that then?
Oh, 100%. I Googled what's a great job for someone who's giving up an acting career, and sales was one of the top recommendations. But what is really amazing is, and this was actually a realisation I had only recently, but when I gave up acting, when I decided I wasn't going to do it anymore, I'm sure a lot of people recognise this feeling, making the decision not to follow, your life's dream and truly the thing you want to do. It is not an easy choice.
No.
And it's pretty devastating. And I realised recently, I was like, gosh, I never really feel sad about it, and I always thought that I would. And I realised it's because sales really has given me all the things I really loved about acting. And if it's not necessarily the same thing exactly, there's a lot that are the same kind of skills, and I can really, enjoy what I do. And so I'm really grateful that I ended up in sales, because it really is, tying into everything I sort of spent my childhood trying to learn.
Yeah. So tell me about some of the previous roles you've had in as an employed person.
Well, I had a very, very fun start to my career. My first job was for basically Monopoly, so making bespoke editions of board games. I would help make city editions, so I made the Stratford-upon-Avon edition, which, obviously
perfect.
I Bagsied that one. What a great excuse to go tour the RSC. And I did the Brighton Monopoly, and I used to make, different editions of Top Trumps, if anyone remembers that from back in the day. And it was a brilliant job because they gave us fantastic training, but it was also really old school, and it was on you to do everything. So all the way from list building, cold lead outreach, and then even account management, and we were part of building the games too. So there was no end to the sales cycle. It was constant. And I really loved it. I was there for a few years, and it got to the point where the startup world was just too exciting. And I had the opportunity to join a logistics company that had just sort of started growing. They were French, they just opened their UK office, and there was about 20 of us. And by the time I left after 4 years, there was over 900 globally.
Wow.
And it was just, no experience like it, to be honest, being in a company that grows that much. The first offsite we had to the last one was a very, very different affair, I'll tell you that for free. But it was amazing because the technology was epic.
Yeah.
And I was able to bring all the old school sales techniques into, you know, the modern age with automations and, you know, CRMs. And it was really, really brilliant and exciting. And I was there for 4 years, had a wonderful time, and then just got to a point where I was ready to take on a head of sales role. And I had a few fun stints, but I was actually just sort of on hold to be the head of commercial for a volunteering and charity platform. And it was my last full-time role, and it was my favourite without a doubt, because got to do all the stuff I love about sales, you know, hire a team, build, train them up, grow a company, but also we were making the world a better place. We were helping charities and positive impact businesses get the support that they needed, and it was amazing and just so rewarding.
Yeah.
And we grew like so quickly, 20% month on month, and got to a point where we got to capacity for enterprise clients. Couldn't bring on any more like massive clients. So I was asked very nicely by the chief technical officer to please take a break from sales. And I did a volunteering project where I gave some advice. I was effectively a sales consultant for these two incredible founders that had started a domestic abuse organisation, like providing trainers. So they were B2B, and they weren't a charity, they were a non-profit. And the difference that I could make speaking to them on the level of being a consultant and recognising that founders, you can be so intelligent, and gosh, they are, and know everything and build something brilliant, or be an expert in your field and go out on your own. But if you don't know how to do sales, it is so difficult, all of it. And it was just this light bulb moment for me. And so, you know, here I am 3 years later, founded the Good Sales Company basically off the back of that pretty short consulting gig. So that was the end of my employed career.
So how easy did you find it to make the move being employed to self-employed?
So, funnily enough, the decision was actually made for me. So it's a very long story, which people are more than welcome to ask me for. But effectively, unfortunately, the founder of the company I was at got some not so great advice and made a bit of a surprising decision, which was to get rid of the commercial team and focus only on marketing instead of outbound sales, which had been for the last 2 years the only way we had made business. Hadn't really come through marketing. Really big decision to make. There were 5 of us let go on one day. And it was, I will say, the wrong decision. The business has not recovered, unfortunately, and they were doing so much good. And that was probably the worst day of my professional life, and then ended up being the best, because I, in the morning, stood there and watched my whole team get let go. And then by the afternoon, I'd bought the domain for my first website and knew exactly what I wanted to do. I was so clear on it because I'd wanted to already. It was a very interesting experience. But I'm also lucky my whole family are basically entrepreneurs, and run their own businesses and always have done. So I knew what the lifestyle was like. I knew how hard it was going to be. I was very well prepared for it. I just jumped into it a little earlier than I expected.
So tell me about your business now. Who is it that you help?
So it's a bit of a range. I always say I personally am on a mission to help people fall in love with sales, which feels like an absolutely outrageous thing to say. But when your business is making money and it's easy, how can you not love what is making that a reality for you? When you get the freedom or the results that are the things that drive you. And I just think that there's, basically a lot of business owners and even salespeople don't like, and I mean this, salespeople don't like doing sales or being salesy because they have an incorrect idea of what that is. So whether it's a founder who's having to do their own sales and they need, coaching and support on how to do that, or if it's a head of sales of a pretty big, team of salespeople that need training, usually one or the other find a bit of value in chatting to me, even if it's just for like a free 30 minutes, ask me 1,000 sales questions kind of thing.
So how do you work with your clients? What's the process?
So when it's my coaching clients, and I do use the phrase coaching relatively loosely, it's more because people can understand that, but really it's basically getting a head of sales that tells you what you've got to go and do. I always say it's a kick up the bum and a cuddle after. But that is every week we meet. There's going to be some training depending on what the priorities are for your business. There will be some actions that we do together so that it's clear. There is always homework, so much homework. And then in between the call, we're always speaking, whether it's WhatsApp or email. I basically want to be your sales bestie who, if you're stressed about something, you can just message me and be like, what do you think? For training, it's a lot more sort of like intensive. So I go in, I meet all the team individually, and I build a training course with the head of the sales, or sometimes the managing director, or the business owner, if they're quite involved. And I create a training completely bespoke to them. And usually I will then do onwards coaching for the team just to make sure the good practice keeps going. There is a sort of a third group, but they're a little bit more out there, and that is the founder that has a very small group of potential leads. So if you're in a very niche industry, if you ever want to do a really outrageous outreach campaign, so like sending something unusual in the mail or, field sales, something like that, that is something I also really, really enjoy doing with people. Not your standard lead generation, basically.
Yeah. So how long would you typically work with a business for?
So for coaching clients, it's 3 months because sales is not rocket science. You will understand it and know what good practice is after 3 months. For lead generation, usually takes about 2 months just to make sure, because we don't rush it. It's all about making sure everyone is correct, everyone is researched, and then training usually depends on the amount of team members. It's just how long they are needing me to be with them. I will say though, coaching clients, especially the larger organisations, I have a few who I've worked with for well over a year, one for 2 years. I work with usually their MD, their senior leadership, and their salespeople just to give ongoing support as they've grown.
Yeah. And what kind of difference are you making? What sort of feedback do you get from your clients?
I have to say, this has been the biggest surprise, because I think the usual expectation is for a salesperson to be like, oh, you made me so much money and I've never got so many meetings in my diary. And I have those, and I can totally, spout off all these like really amazing sounding numbers. Like, ooh, my LinkedIn outreach booked someone 7 meetings in a week. Is it true? Yes. Is it something everyone will get? No. But what has really surprised me and has, I think, brought so much like value and meaning to what I'm doing beyond the fact that I just love sales, is that people just say that they have a new mindset and energy, and they feel different about their business. They feel lighter, more positive. They actually feel like they're enjoying it. And for some people, they've never really felt like they've enjoyed it. And that, when people say that after hearing me talk, or after having a session with me, or after having my coaching, that it has like, it feels silly to even say it, but they've said that, it has changed their life. I just never in a million years did I think I would make that kind of difference. And I am so, so grateful that I do. I
Yeah,
really am.
that's lovely. Now, before we start talking about networking, I just wanted to give your podcast a bit of a plug. Tell me about your podcast.
Ooh, thank you. Well, so I am a co-host of a sales podcast called The S Word. Myself and my really good friend Stephanie Melodia run it together. Steph previously ran one of the top UK business podcasts called Strategy and Tragedy, and we met, vibe, got on so well, had a good giggle, and she called me up and she said, would you like to do a podcast all about sales? And I said, only if it's really, really funny. And we have stayed true to that. The episode just released this Monday was about Steph doing a pitch to someone and then discovering that there was a sex party happening as soon as she was leaving. And she was invited to stay, very important to note. She was not told to leave. She did leave, is also important to note. But we also cold call live on air, and we have like really amazing guests come on and talk about sort of their expertise, like whether it's AI or PR. And yeah, look, we've only just started. We've got 20 episodes out. So if anyone's looking for a bit of a giggle and maybe learn some sales stuff, I would always appreciate another listener.
Fabulous. So let's talk about the networking side of things now then. Was networking something you did when you were employed?
Yes, but very differently. When I was employed, the networking we did was always conference-based and trade shows. Obviously, Toy Fair for Monopoly was amazing. Oh my gosh, I would leave with a backpack full of goodies. It was amazing. But the very corporate side, very much, not so much about sales. It was really about seeing your clients, doing a bit of marketing and being where you should be. But when I was in, the startup world, we were always going to events. We'd always have a stand and be there and make sure that people knew us. And again, it was really about the marketing of it. We would generate leads, but not always with the highest conversion, because there's a lot of information people are getting in one day. It's tough to get a deal from there.
Yeah.
And not always, but sometimes. And that was really interesting, because when I then started my own business, the networking was a completely different world. And it was a huge adjustment to learn what networking is as like an independent business owner, as opposed to showing up as a big corporate with a couple grand stand at the minimum behind you. I suppose maybe the only thing that is similar is, the drinks party afterwards, except very rarely were we sponsors or able to go. So, I didn't even get that part of it.
Why would you say that networking is important for a solopreneur?
It is hands down one of the best ways to grow your business, because most outreach, cold outreach, not even just like people responding to you, like people even seeing your message is so low. And that's why there's only a 2 to 3% response rate, because really, I would say 85-90% of people don't even see that message or don't read it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're networking, you are meeting people face to face. There's no, I hope that this Tash isn't an AI bot. I'm not. It's very obvious. And there's none of that. And you just get to have a human connection, which now, in a world where we are overwhelmed by messaging, and don't get me wrong, I'm sending some of those messages, but we are overwhelmed by it. Networking is just cutting through it all and meeting people where they are and just being able to connect properly. And especially when you're a small business and you're early days, you can't afford to pay the amount that you need to pay on SEO to be found when people search. You can't afford to pay the marketing agencies that will actually get you results. And anyway, that takes a very long time. And what you can do is go to free networking events, low cost networking events, those recurring networking events where it's pretty cheap, so you get quite a lot because it's online. I mean, there's so many options and it fits every budget, and it always is a good way to grow your brand.
Yeah. And is it something that you recommend to your clients as well?
Oh, 100%. It's even with coaching clients and you know, like lead generation clients, I always say, by the way, never just rely on one thing. Are you networking? But when I do my talks and trainings to like a bigger audience, I will always put up different ways of doing outreach, and I'll get people to say, put your hands up if you are going networking. And if people aren't putting their hands up, I say, you are all missing a trick, every single one of you. For one, you are because you're here, but you should be doing it proactively.
Yeah.
I think it is. I don't think I'd be where I am now if I hadn't started networking instantly. I think there's no chance, actually.
Yeah. What would you say to those people who say, oh, I don't want to go networking, it's so salesy and I don't want to be salesy?
Oh, then you know what? Don't be salesy. That's always my favourite thing, is networking isn't sales. Networking is marketing. And you know that because when you do go to a networking event and you see that salesperson aggressively moving around the room, shoving their hands into people's to shake as hard as they can, you avoid them. Whereas the people just having a nice chat in the corner, showing pictures of their dogs, those are the people you want to go and talk to and you connect with afterwards. So if you don't want to network because you don't want to have to be salesy, good. Don't be salesy. No one likes that. Just go and make some nice relationships. When it becomes a sales effort is when you connect and follow up afterwards.
Yeah.
And that is just a whole other thing.
Yeah. So I'm guessing from what you said there, you've experienced networking events where people have been salesy. Have you got some stories you want to share with us, Tash?
Do you know, this happened to me very recently and it could not be a better example. So I have a phrase that I use. It is not uniquely mine. I've heard it around as well, but it's called being pitch slapped. When someone just sells at you with absolutely no permission. And it happened to me recently. I was at this beautiful networking event. It was on a rooftop in East London. Sun was shining after we'd had 2 weeks of rain, and then the sun just shone for an entire afternoon. It was gorgeous. And I was nearly leaving. I'd had really great conversations, and I just finished chatting to someone, and he was talking about this platform he's just built. Very interesting. And I was thinking to myself, yeah, do you know what? I might be interested in looking at that, and I think my clients might be as well. And I said that to him, and I was like, you know, so I'll connect with you on LinkedIn. He takes that as an invitation to pitch slap me. Gets his phone out and is like, let me show you the pilot. Even says, you're not, the pilot doesn't really work on your phone. Then why are you showing me a pilot right now on your phone? And I'm trapped in this conversation with him as he's trying to, and it's failing because it's not meant to be. And I can see that he's regretting it. Everyone's regretting it. And after I was able to sort of disentangle myself from the conversation, I did not, I mean, he actually didn't message me, which was interesting because I probably would have. But I didn't message him to say I'd like to see the platform. And if he had messaged me, I probably would have been like, oh, you know what, just when you've got a few people pilot testing it and it's, you know, just maybe then, but kind of just put it off. And yeah, I just thought it was so funny because he literally talked himself out of a meeting by trying to sell to me when he had done a wonderful job of marketing.
Yeah, pitch slapped. Love it. I think I'm going to put that in the title for this episode.
Yes!
So finally, Tash, if people want to connect with you and find out more about the Good Sales Company, what is the best place for them to find you?
So, very fortunately, there's not many Tash Rebucks. So, if you go onto LinkedIn and you type in Tash Rebuck, you will find me. Big smiley face, lots of hearts and sales love. But also, you can find me on thegoodsalescompany.com. That's our website. Of course, the S Word, my podcast, is on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. And I'm on Instagram too, Tash_Rebuck. Again, very easy to find. You know, follow me, come say hi. And if anyone is listening to this and is like, oh, I might have some questions, I always offer 30 minutes free sales advice. It's not a sales pitch. I don't need to do that. If the advice works, you hopefully want to work with me. But if anyone does want that, I'm totally happy. Just, you can find the link on my website.
Fabulous. Well, thank you so much for being my guest. I've really enjoyed chatting to you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I've never talked so much.
I can't believe that. Thanks for listening to Small Business, Big Network. If you found this podcast useful, please do rate, review and subscribe. And don't forget to share it with the rest of your network too.